And we've got breaking news coming in now. Another Indian Air Force C-17 aircraft with stranded Indian citizens from Kabul has landed at the Hindon Air Force Base on the outskirts of Delhi. This is the second aircraft to bring relieved Indians back home from war-torn Kabul that's now in the hands of the Taliban. These are the first images, as always, that India Today brings you live and exclusive from the Hindon Air Force Station. The aircraft has just landed. This is a video taken by one of the passengers inside the aircraft. This is the large cabin of the C-17 that has just landed in Hindon Air Force Station. Hindon is on the outskirts of Delhi. It is technically in Uttar Pradesh. This aircraft took off from Kabul earlier today. It landed in Jamnagar, and then it has landed now in the Hindon Air Force Station. Abhishek Balla is live with me from Hindon. Abhishek, second aircraft that has brought back Indians from Kabul just landing at Hindon. Take us through what the current status is. How many people on board? How many more such flights are we going to see?
The embassy of Afghanistan, ITBP personnel who have been brought in, and what we have heard is that, you know, it's a situation where they are feeling really relieved. In fact, the Indian ambassador spoke to journalists earlier when the flight landed in Jamnagar, and he said that it's a sense of relief, and he also thanked the Indian Air Force in what he described as really abnormal circumstances in which the people were brought back, because remember, it was not easy getting to the airport in Kabul. There were a lot of barricades that were put on the way, making travel within the city extremely difficult. The situation, of course, remains very fluid. This is once again has been described by the ambassador in Kabul. Now that they are back, there are still a few people in the embassy and also other staff and other Indians who perhaps are in Afghanistan for other reasons. They still need to be brought back, and most importantly, there are still 50 to 60 ITBP personnel who are there to secure them.
Okay, let's go full frame with these pictures. First images coming in from the Hindon Air Force Station, where C-17 number 2 has just landed. We can confirm to you it has landed safely. These are the second batch of Indians who've been rescued from Kabul, who've just been delivered back to their country. These are images exclusive to India Today from inside that C-17. It's a huge aircraft, the biggest in Indian service. India operates 11 of them. Hindon Air Force Station is the base where the squadron operates. It's called the 81 Squadron, the Sky Lords, and that's where this aircraft was from. It flew from Hindon to Kabul, and it has come back via Jamnagar and now landed at Hindon. Abhishek, do we know why the aircraft needed to head to Jamnagar in Gujarat first and then come to Hindon? And also, if you can show us around the location that you're at, if we can see the aircraft or anything else.
Shiv, one of the reasons why the aircraft came via Jamnagar was because it was felt that Pakistani airspace should be avoided. So that's the reason that's been given. The aircraft that came in yesterday also followed a similar protocol. And we are right now standing outside the Hindon Air Force Station. Access obviously is limited inside because of security reasons. But I can also show you the visuals. You know, there is a big crowd of journalists. Other than that, people in the area have also gathered here as they got to know of the developments taking place. And as we speak, we are expecting those inside to be coming out very soon. Whether we get a chance to speak to them or not is still not known, but obviously we'll try our best to at least speak to some officials or perhaps some journalists who are on board. We've been told that there are quite a few journalists on board, so they might come out and speak to us and give us a version of what they've seen in the last 48 hours in Kabul.
Okay, so Abhishek Bhalla, defense editor, standing right outside the Hindon Air Force Station. Right behind him is the gate that goes inside the Air Force Station where the C-17 has just landed. Images coming in from inside that C-17 of Indians who've been evacuated from Kabul. Relief writ large on all of those faces, because these are people who've been brought back home from the world's most dangerous place. We've just seen horrifying images overwhelm large parts of Afghanistan and especially the country's capital, Kabul. And in just a moment, we'll be getting you more voices coming in from that C-17 that has brought back all these Indians from Kabul. 120 Indians were on board this aircraft. There will be several more such flights, according to our information, to bring back many more Indians. There are some workers, there are laborers who are currently in Afghanistan right now and are hoping for clarity on how they will be brought back to India. Well, as of now, 190 people have been evacuated in the last 3 days in 2 flights. Today, 120 people were airlifted on that C-17. We'll bring you details and their voices in just a moment. Let's try and understand. Let's just show you on that map what this evacuation from Kabul has actually looked like. The operation has been named Operation Airlift Kabul. It's a working title. They'll probably give it another name as this progresses. According to government sources, this C-17 aircraft took off at 4:20 p.m. on Monday, took off from the Hindon Air Base near Delhi. Garud commandos accompanied the C-17. There are always Special Forces commandos who are on this aircraft, who are responsible for sanitizing the runway and keeping the aircraft safe, especially during embarkation. Iran and Pakistan airspaces are avoided, so the aircraft had to take a circuitous route to reach Kabul from Delhi. The plane first reached Tajikistan via Oman and the Persian Gulf. It then reached Kabul on Tuesday morning. NATO forces gave clearance for the landing. NATO provided safe passage for 148 Indians in Kabul. The Indians were taken from the embassy to the Kabul airport. Indian convoy reached the airport at 7:30 this morning. The C-17 then took off with the Indians. It landed in Jamnagar in Gujarat. It could not overfly Pakistan, so it landed in Jamnagar in Gujarat, and then it has now taken that flight from Jamnagar and landed in Hindon. Hindon is just a stone's throw from Delhi. It's an Air Force base where these C-17 aircraft are based.